Hello, welcome to the first tutorial of PSOSM 2021. In this tutorial, we'll be covering how to install Linux, how to set up your system for all the programming tasks. In this course, we would be using Python for all the programming work, right from collecting data to any other further working with models and such stuff. So here in this tutorial, we'll be talking about how to set up your system with Linux. Linux is quite a handy way to work with Python and with data collection and all that programming stuff. So for this tutorial, we'll be using something called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a flavor of Linux, and we'll be installing that. So for that, one of the first things that we would need is the image of the operating system, Ubuntu operating system. So you can go to the Ubuntu download page, and you can click on download, and you can see that there are various versions, right? So we will be using Ubuntu desktop for this course, and you can click on 20.04 LTS. LTS stands for long-term support. So this means that this version of operating system will be supported for a longer time, right? You can use 20.04 or 18.04. Both of these are LTS versions, right? So you can just click on it, and so it will start downloading an ISO file. ISO file is quite huge. It will be around a couple of GBs, so it will take a while depending on your internet. So that is one. While this downloads, we would need another piece of software called Virtualbox, right? So you can also go to the Virtualbox site to download that download that piece of software. So for installing Ubuntu, for installing Linux, we can have two approaches, right? You can install the operating system in your laptop itself, like how you have installed your Windows or any other operating system that you're using. Or but if you're not sure that you want to disturb the configuration of your laptop, what you can do is you can install the Ubuntu operating system in this Virtualbox, right? So Virtualbox will, if you install using Virtualbox, you will have a virtual machine which will be running on your operating system, right? So this approach would be platform agnostic. So it doesn't matter if you're doing it on Mac or Windows or on Ubuntu or on Linux. So you can just go to download, and you can just select your platform. And so I'm using Linux platform, so I'll just download the relevant one, right? So I'll just click on the one that I'm using, and I'll download the package, right? So depending on your platform, if you're using Mac or Windows, it is just about double clicking the downloaded file, executable file, and you can go ahead with installing Virtualbox. It's pretty straightforward. And the next thing after that, I think we can get started with the installation process. I have both of these files already downloaded, so I'll skip this. So once you have installed Virtualbox, you can just open the Virtualbox by double clicking, or depending on your OS. Once you open Virtualbox, it'll look something like this. You can click on a new, and so what this will start is, it will start creating a new virtual machine, right? You can name you can put any name, right? I'm calling it Ubuntu test, and you have to select this. You have to select Linux and the Ubuntu 64-bit, right? Then click on next, and here you will be allocating the memory size, RAM size, and it will range from 4 MB to the maximum RAM memory that you have on your machine. So you can use 2 GB or 3 GB, 1 GB, 2 GB or 3 GB, depending on how much RAM you have. So be a bit careful about this. So if you have low RAM system, then do not allocate anything more than 1 GB. Then click on next, and this is pretty standard. Just continue with create a virtual hard disk now, and you can just select this VDI, virtual box disk image. Click on next. Keep this as default, keep this as dynamically allocated, and click on next. Yeah, so this is where you can choose how much of hard disk space you want to allocate to this image. So you can keep from depending on how much you have available, but it is advisable you keep something that is upwards of 10 GB. Once you have selected this, click on create. So yeah, so you can see that here now your the new virtual machine that you had created is up. So now we'll go ahead and install the operating system in this. So now select the one that you have created just now, select the virtual machine that you have created just now, then click on start. Yeah, so now this is where it will ask you for the image, and this is where you have to give the ISO image that you have downloaded, the Ubuntu ISO image that you have downloaded, right? So click on this, and I have already here, but you will have to select this from the destination from where you had downloaded. So just double click on it and click on choose and click start. Right, so it'll take some time to start the virtual machine, and it'll prompt you like this. So this is how the installation is, right? So here we are doing the installation in a virtual machine, but if you're doing it on your own laptop, not a virtual machine but your own laptop, you can do that. The installation procedure pretty much remains the same. Only thing is that you don't have to worry about the virtual machine and anything like that, but all the steps from here on are pretty much the same, right? So if you are using if you already have a Windows machine, if you want to install Ubuntu side by side like dual boot or something, you can do that, but be careful with your data that is on your laptop. So yeah, so be careful while creating the partitions and stuff like that. And all this will be covered in the following steps. Give it a minute. Depending on what kind of system you have, it will take a minute or two to get ready. So once you are installing this, you will on using the virtual machine, you will keep getting this notifications. You can close this. There's no problem. Yeah, so once you get this kind of interface, click on install Ubuntu. And this is where you keep, these are pretty standard, go with the defaults. So yeah, click on continue. You can disable the download updates while installing Ubuntu. This will help you do this whole process a bit faster. Yeah. So if you're doing this if you don't need any Office software like LibreOffice or all the games and the media players, you can go ahead with minimal installation. So what the only difference is that in minimal installation, few of the softwares will not be installed, like Office and games and media players. You can install them afterwards. If it is a minimal installation, it will speed up the process. That is the only thing. But if you are doing this not on your virtual machine but on your laptop, directly on your laptop or on your desktop, you can go ahead with normal installation. So you can choose either one depending on the speed that you need, and click on continue. Yeah, then you will get this kind of interface where you have to select whether you'd want to erase the whole disk or something else. Always click on something else, even if you're doing this directly on your machine instead of using a virtual machine. Always select something else. This gives you a better chance to control which partition is being used for installation and all of that. So this helps you make sure that any of the existing data is not meddled with. Right, so click on something else and then click on continue. So here, since this is a virtual machine and we had allocated initially, if you remember, we had allocated 10 GB. So here, select that and click on next new partition table. Click on continue. And yeah, you can see that you have 10 GB of free space. So click on that and click on this plus button. The first thing what we do is we create something called swap area. So this swap area size would be something similar to the amount of RAM that you allocated. So I had allocated 1024, so I'll also allocate 1024 here. and select in this use as, you can go and select swap area, right? So allocate size that is same as your RAM, create, and allocate that as swap area. Click on OK. And now in the remaining free space you have to create another partition. So again select the free space and click on plus button, and yeah, all the remaining space is here. It will be used as an ext4 file system, and in the mount point you have to select root, right? That is all. So again the remaining space will go towards this partition. You will be selecting ext4. This will be by default, I guess, and the mount point you have to give is root, and then click on OK. Once this is created, you can go ahead and click on install now, and it will ask you for this permission to partition those drives. Go ahead and click. If you are not using virtual machine, if you're doing directly if you're doing this directly on the machine that you have, make sure that you are selecting these partitions carefully, because once you go ahead with the installation, that partition will be getting formatted. And also be careful. I'll just go back up a minute, and also be careful of where this bootloader is getting installed, right? So if you are installing this directly on your machine, you have to be a bit careful about the partitions, the bootloader, the destination of the bootloader, and also the systems these days have something called secure boot and UFA boot. So the procedure might be a bit different, so I would advise you to go and check that thoroughly before you are doing this on your machine. But if you're doing this on virtual machine like we are doing this right now, there will be no trouble at all, right? So yeah, I will go ahead, click on install now, and click on continue. Yeah, from here on it is the installation process more or less, and if you have any experience with installing any operating system for that matter, Windows or Mac or whatever, this process will take usually around 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah, so I'll point out the important steps in between. So yeah, you will be selecting the time zone, click on continue, and there will be another step where you have to create your username and password, right? So yeah, you can type anything, and your computer name, this will be your username, and you can give a password. Don't forget this password, keep this handy because you will be needing this later, and click on continue. Right? So here on there will be no other step. From here on it is the installation, the remaining part of installation. So this, again, as I said, this process will take around 30 to 40 minutes or more than that, depending on how fast or slow your system is. So if you want to check whether your system is stuck or not, you can just click on this. You can keep track of the status here, right? Yeah, so I'll skip directly to the end of this whole process. So once the installation is done, you'll get this message. Just click on restart now. And once the system reboots, you will have to log in again with the same user ID and password that you had keyed in. Just give it a few minutes to have a proper restart. I'll just skip to that part now. You can skip all of this after the login, and to test it out, you can just open the terminal. You can just type the terminal here. It will give you the command prompt. So this is where you can just check if your internet is connected. Yeah, so ping space google.com. you are getting responses, that means you are connected, your virtual machine is connected to internet. And this is it. So now you can, this is the installation is complete. You can use this for installing further packages, right? So thank you for listening to this tutorial. In the next one we'll cover how to install Python and have some basic libraries installation. If you have any more questions, please feel free to put the queries on the forum. We'll be happy to help. Thank you.